Hi everyone, this is Yusra and welcome back to another YouTube video. And in today's video, we're going to talk about I'm going to give you an introduction of R Studio. We'll see the basic understanding of R Studio, and I'll also give you I'll also give the introduction of R language and Python language. These two languages are the programming language, and we'll see the difference between these two languages. We'll also talk about the market value of these two languages. For example, if you want to pursue your career as a data scientist or data analyst, then what language you need to learn first, and in which language you should have your expertise to start your job in any companies you want to be as a data scientist or as a data analyst. Okay, so in this video we'll talk about the background of R language, like who was the inventor, creator, author of the R language. So this YouTube video is all going to about the R language, and we'll also talk in this video. I'll also talk about the comparison between R language and Python language. These two languages are programming language, and we'll also see what are the scope of these two languages in the market. Which companies are more prefer to work on R, and which companies are more prefer to work on Python language. If you want to pursue your career in data scientist or as a data analyst, which language you should learn first, and which language is preferred more in these two jobs. Okay, then in this video, I'll give you an introduction of the R Studio, its background, its history, like who was the creator, author of the R language, and then I'll give you the introduction of the four panels of R Studio, and how we can work on it, and how we can and also how we can import our data direct into your R Studio, and how we can save our imported data into File Explorer, which is the File Explorer is basically the tab of R Studio, and we'll also see how we can import our data into the File Explorer and how we can save it there. And then we'll see how we can view our data, our imported data which we have already saved in our File Explorer, and then how we can see our imported data in R Studio, how we can visualize our data, what are the commands that we use to visualize our data in R Studio. We'll also see what are the packages that are available in our studio, and how we can perform some statistical and quick or dirty analysis, how we can perform these analysis in our studio. Okay, so before we will start our video, I would like you to give the introduction of my channel. So I'll meet Okay, so why we should choose R specifically, and the reason that I choose R specifically is that like if you want to perform some quick or dirty analysis, then you need R language. You should have your expertise in R language, and you should have the understanding of R language at a more advanced level. And if you are someone who want to pursue your career in a data analytics field, then you should have your expertise in R language. But if you want to pursue your career as a data scientist, then in data scientist jobs, R and Python both language are preferred. Then you should have the expertise in both languages. But if you just want to perform some quick or dirty analysis, then we'll use R or Python language, because it has a pretty cool statistical and visualization tools, visualization libraries that will help you to do your work, and it has built-in statistical libraries as well as model that will help to do your work and will help you to perform analysis, statistical analysis. And this is the reason we choose R language or Python language as a data scientist, as a data analyst. Okay, because of its huge libraries, number of packages are available in R Studio. You can perform your statistical analysis. You can download this package and do your work. No. Okay, so for example, if you're someone who are going to start from scratch, and you don't have any basic understanding of any programming language like R or Python language, then you can start with R language, because its learning curve is pretty steepest as compared to the Python language, because Python language is more language itself, and its learning curve is not as steepest as R language. But in R language, when you will get there, you'll find it easier as compared to the Python language. So it is a more easier language as compared to Python language, because Python is more intuitive as in term of language itself. Okay, so I'll prefer R over Python language as a data analyst. But if you want to pursue your career as a data scientist, then you should have expertise in both languages. Okay, so this is like the introduction of R language and its scope in a data analytics field. Okay, so now let's move to the introduction of R Studio. So R is basically interpreted language. It is not a compiled language. So there are basically two types of programming languages. First one is interpreted programming language, and second one is compiled programming language. In a compiled programming language, it means you run your code in a compiled form, in a whole compiled form, and then you get the output. But it is different in R language, because in R language you run your code without a compiler, line by line. Okay, when you compile your first line, you get the output, and then you compile your second line and you get the output. If at first you don't you get the error when you compile your first line, you can't run your second line until you solve the solution, until you get the solution of your first line. So it means we cannot run the whole program at one time. Okay, so just in addition to background, so R was created by the two gentlemen statistician Robert and Ross in University of Auckland in New Zealand. So the name of R was after the name of these two statisticians, and this language was introduced for statistician, and statistician use R language to perform some statistical analysis, and statisticians are using R language for the development of statistical software. Okay, so this is like the introduction of R Studio, and most companies are using R language, and the data analysts are using R language for the quick and dirty analysis. So number of people are using R language, so the scope of R language is very high in the market nowadays. So yeah, like this is the introduction of R Studio. Okay, so in order to understand how we can use or how we can work on R Studio, I have to move on my laptop screen, and I'll see you there.
In order to understand the R Studio IDE, we need to understand the four main windows of which we see on the screen in front of us. Okay, in upper right, we have a tab that contains our working environment, which consists the list of our objects that have been loaded. Next, we have a history tab. It means the history of commands that we have been putted before. Okay, now let's take a look on import dataset. If we click on this, you can import your data from Excel, SPSS, SAS from data directly into your source panel. Okay, moving further. In our lower right pane, we see multiple tabs for our file explorer, plots that you have been produced, and a help tab. A help tab which contains the output for any command we may have run. And a view tab. View tab contains the advanced web information. Okay, so now finally let's take a look at the packages tab. Packages tab, as a reminder, it is the real power of R, as it contains a set of large number of libraries, over 10,000 at this point. Each has special function to help to do your work. So now, for example, if you want to perform some statistical analysis and you don't have the package installed yet and you want to install it, you just have to click on this install icon, install option. Write your package you want it to install, and when you see your package name, you just click on this install button and your package will be installed. So now I'm not installing any package right now, so I just simply click on cancel. Okay, on the lower left we see the console. Every time you launch R Studio, it will have the same text informing you what version of R you are running. Okay, beneath that you see is a prompt. This prompt is really a request for command, hence is constantly flashing and in waiting for a command. Okay, the panel upper left is our source panel, where you will write and save your code in a script file, which is basically a text file using save scripts. Means you can always get what you have been done before. Just a bit on terminology. R commands what we call our R codes, and that it would technically called the instructions. Instruction that we might tell the computers to follow. When we run some code, we actually asking the computer to actually run the command. How we can load our Excel file or any other file in our R Studio? Okay, let's see how we can do this. So simply we click on this import dataset. If you want to load our Excel file in R, we click on this and there is an import from Excel option. We click on this option and you are gonna get this little screen over here. Now we click on browse and select our file where you have been stored it. So my file has been stored there, and I click on it and open my file on this little screen over here. It might take some time to load depend on your internet connection. Okay, so now over here you can see the data preview. This is actually the preview of your data before importing your data in R Studio. If everything is clear already and everything is okay, so just click on import here and our data have been imported from Excel to R Studio in our source panel. You can see your data by scrolling this scroll bar up and down. Saving and loading objects in R. We can load and save objects in R. For example, we want to save this children health data in our R Studio, and objects would be children health vector. I can run this function by using this command over here. So if I press enter, you can see over here I have now created health.txt which will contain children health data. I can save down multiple objects, so let me try and create another variable. A second variable have been created, as you can see in our environmental panel. Okay, and here now I'll use the preferred file extension .rdata as compared to the txt file extension, which was incorrect and given the external representation of this file in the presence to use R data. So if I press enter, you can see over here our R file have been created in our file explorer. Now my file health.rdata contains two variables that I have created, children health data and Yusra, and you can list as many objects as you wanted here. So this is how you can load and save your files that you have been imported from Excel into R Studio, and you can save them down in your file explorer in R Studio. In order to view dataset into R Studio IDE, we will utilize a dataset about health record. This dataset has been stored in a .r data file and we will be using the source file. No, I'll be using the console file. I can now load health data by running the command load health.rdata. And as I press enter, you can see this command then instruct R to fetch or load some data. The health counts into the global environment. As you can see, we have data set called children health data, and we have 49 observations and 3 variables. As you interact with R, you will see and create as many objects as you want, and you will leave them in as part of either performing analysis or as byproduct of any computing you may conduct. Can I view this health data file that's been loaded into my workspace? Yeah, of course. In my console window, I can type children health record or children health data. I can press enter to complete this. And once I press enter, here I can view the entire dataset by scrolling up and down using the scroll bar on the right. It can take me from row 1 all the way to row 50 or 49. What are the 4 columns that I can see on the screen at the moment? So, each row contains an index or a row number. The second entry is the years, and the third entry is the number of boys, and the fourth entry is the number of girls in the case that was healthy. Are the first column containing the number 1 through till 50 part of the dataset? The answer is no. I'll print them out to help us with making visual comparison by row. We can think of them as the index that you might see on the left side of the spreadsheet. How can I view the dimensions of the data that I have brought in? By entering and clicking on the run icon here and pushing them into the console window, and I can see 49 and 3, 49 rows and 3 columns. Can I see the name of the columns without bringing out the whole dataset? Of course. I can use the command functions, and I can use the command function names. So I'll write the command names. I can press enter and see that the names of each of my different columns in my data frame are years, boys and girls. I can also use our R Studio built-in data view by clicking on the children health data. Now if I press in my environment and clicking on the children health data, this brings up an alternative display of the entire dataset in a separate window as part of the upper left pane. It tells me and it shows me how many rows are shown. It tells me the full number of entries that are populated in my dataset. I can close it by clicking on the cross here. The automated command to bring up this was via the view command. You can see right over here. Can I access just one column of my data frame only? So I can type children health data. And if I use the dollar notation, I can bring up any of the column that I like to see. If I wanted to bring up just the boys who are healthy, then I can type children health data $, and boys. Here we can select boys and press enter. So you can see here I can same do this for girls, but instead of typing keyword boys, I will type girls this time. And when I press enter, you can see the output on the screen over here. Because this time I wanted to bring up just the girls who are healthy, then I can type children health data $girls, where each of the left entries provide the index for the number of girls that were healthy in the case of what I have selected on the screen now. And if I can scroll up like top of the data, I can see now. Notice that the restricted data printed output differ from the original dataset. Why? Because we no longer have a structured table. We no longer have a column listed one after the other. We now have a row vector. I can scroll one. I can show you that the first entry for 1940 in the case of girls that were happy and healthy was 44 and 53. If I scroll down, you can see here the first entry. In this case, the first entry is 4453. So if I click on the dataset in the environment, we can see we can see 4453 as being the first entry being in that column. So this is how you can view your data in R Studio, the file that you have been stored in the Files Explorer, and how you can view your data by using R Studio so easy and simply.
Okay, so let's bring end to this today's YouTube video, and that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was useful for you in terms of knowledge and in terms of the basic understanding of R Studio. And now if you have any question, the question that I didn't answer in this video, you can ask me, feel free to ask me in the comment section, and I'll try my best to answer as many as possible. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.